I was putting myself into these places that I've never been in before, challenging myself physically and mentally, extremely difficult that I really didn't want to do. What is the DNA of your brand? It took us so many years.
What is the brand valued at?
Over 80 million. And I looked at it and I was like, holy shit.
Did you have any struggles?
Thousands of struggles. Every day was a struggle. When your back is against the wall and you don't have other options, everything is a struggle. Like every decision you've got to make is a risk. I'm going to say we failed 1 million times to get to where we are. If we wouldn't have done that, the brand might still not be here now.
George Heaton, how you doing?
Great, thank you, man. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming on, man. You have been highly requested across all my socials to have you on this podcast.
I'd love to hear that.
I feel like you're a massive inspiration for people in the entrepreneurship space and want to do something that they love.
That's so good to hear. Like, it's humbling, man. It's humbling because, like, I don't actually have a huge following, but I feel like the people that do follow me, like...
But I feel like you have a real cult community following.
Yeah.
So I always say to people, it's not about, you know, how many numbers they've got, if it's 3 digits, 5 digits, whatever the case is, but the cult following is probably the most important thing that you have.
Yeah, 100%.
Like, your engagement's through the roof.
Yeah.
All cult following. But my question leading off the back of that is, how do you feel knowing that you are this inspiration to other people?
Before we get into it, make sure you subscribe and set the bell notification to all so you never miss a single episode.
I feel amazing, man. Like, that's my drive. Like, if I can wake up to 100 DMs every day that say, like, dude, you inspired me to do this, you inspired me to do that, whether it's start a business, whether it's go for their first 5K, whatever it may be, like, I'm all for that. That's what gets me pumped.
Yeah. Do you know what, George? I'm really looking forward to this podcast because, fortunately, I've been able to do podcasts with the likes of Lewis Morgan, Risha Barr, and yourself, all within the fashion and e-commerce space, right? And you're all killing it, successful in your own rights. Do you think there's any common traits or similarities that makes you guys successful?
Yeah, I do. I think it's like having the grit and determination to go with your back against the wall and try and do anything, and just having that mindset of a winner. Like, you have to win, so you've got to do it either way. I think we all possess that within ourselves. And I also think we all work for people over profit, which at a big scale in business is the main driver.
So as I said, you got a cult following, but for the people who are watching this off the back of me and haven't heard of you before, what is it that you are? And I don't mean for the pun, but what is it that you represent? The good one there, isn't it?
We're a menswear lifestyle brand that also now is in the fitness space. I'm the creative director of it. I own the business with my brother Mike, who is the design director. And I guess we sell a lifestyle, man. It's not just the clothes.
You sell a lifestyle. No, it seems like it as well. Like, when you go through your Instagram and when you go through the brand's identity, kind of like, there's different things you could do with a brand. You can wear it anywhere.
Right.
For example, you've got the 24/7 line as well. Wear it anywhere. And in the gym, which is pretty sick as well, which we'll come to later on in this podcast. But being the creative person that you are, I want to know where it all starts with you, because every creative person always has that moment where the creativity is born. For me, it was, year 10, year 11, doing media and realizing that I actually love filming and I love editing. Obviously, I didn't do the podcast until many years later on, but that's where I think it was born. So what was it for you?
For me, it was in primary school, and I don't know what year it was, but we had to like draw ourselves on a tea towel and you'd see the full year on it. And when we got them tea towels back to the house, like, it kind of looked like me and Mike were teenagers or adults that had just snuck in and drawn our pictures. Yeah. So they were so far apart from the rest of the class.
Oh, was Mike good at it as well, yeah?
Oh, yeah, it was amazing. You're better than me. But ours were just so far removed from what the class was at that time that we knew that, like, art was something that we were really into, and our visions, what we could do with a pen and paper, was so far advanced from everyone else that was in our class at the time. So that's the kind of the path we went down.
So was it you guys that registered it as being like, this drawing was really good? Or was it other people saying that this is really good? Because this is actually a really interesting point. Was it you and Michael that...
No, it wasn't us. No, it was my mum and my teachers.
That recognized your talent, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so as you had realized this talent, where did you take it from there?
I just literally grew up thinking everything I want to do physically was like a type of art form, whether it was sketching on a piece of paper or whether we'd go out for dinner and I'd ask for crayons so I could draw all over the table, and painting, sculpting, anything I could get my hands on, like World of Warcraft figures and Warhammer and everything, like, artistically I wanted to do. I wasn't very academic growing up, so like maths and English classes, I was just scribbling in sketchbooks.
scribbling schedules in maths and English classes.
Yeah.
So did you do well academically? Like,
No, I didn't do great, but I didn't do terrible. Like I got through everything. But I picked graphic design as my college degree and university degree.
what did they mainly consist of? Because I'd done graphic design in GCSE as well.
Yeah.
And I thought it was going to be making stuff or designing stuff. And I remember for 2-3 years straight, we were just making one stupid perfume bottle for the whole time.
Yeah.
I think they changed the curriculum or something like that.
It's never what you expect, is
It's
it?
never what you expect.
I learned so much stuff in university, and it was like going back to college and starting in day one again. So I actually found it so easy that I could spend all my time building a brand at that time. So I did a 3-year course at Salford University, and honestly, I could have done it in probably 3 months. So I had a lot of time to work on the brand, which was
What's
great.
the course that you could do?
Yeah,
What was the course?
graphic design.
Oh, that was a 3-year course, but you're saying you could have done it in 3 months.
Yeah, definitely.
So where did the rebirth of Represent actually come from then?
So 2011, I was in college and I wanted to build a brand just because I knew I was good at graphics. I knew Mike was good artistically, and it was like the time of YouTube, right? So I was watching a guy called Nicky Diamonds who had this store in LA where he'd sell all these graphic designs with a diamond picture on it, and he'd pull up in his Rolls Royce, and I just thought, that's really cool. Who's doing that in the UK? And I couldn't really find like the right brands. Like this whole streetwear thing was just about to come alive. So I went to a merchandise printer that were doing band t-shirts at the time, and I had enough money to print 25 t-shirts. So I stuck the logo in front. 150 quid.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what's that work out per t-shirt? The quick maths.
£7.50, I think. I can't remember. I've still got the invoice actually.
Yeah, roughly about 6 quid, something like that. Yeah. You still got the invoice, have you?
Yeah, I've still got the invoice.
Yes.
I still speak to them guys.
Is it?
Yeah.
How come? Just speaking, but I mean, like the invoice. How could you still have that?
Because it was like the first document I kept.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Did you? Okay, so
I actually posted it on my Instagram a few years ago.
to me, that registers the fact that from day one, you knew that this brand's going to be massive.
Yeah, I guess so. Like I always had dreams for it, dreams that were much smaller than where it's at now. But yeah, I always had dreams of it being great.
And that's why you'd want to keep the invoice.
Yeah.
But yeah, sorry. So you got the 25 t-shirts.
Yeah, 25 t-shirts. I'd ripped the label out. I'd sew a new label in that said Represent on it, so it didn't look like I was buying them from Gildan with the loom. And then I'd sell them on a site called Big Cartel, which at the time was like what Shopify is now, but just on a much smaller scale. Built out a little website, which obviously I was learning to do in graphic design, so it kind of looked cool. Put the t-shirts on there and asked my friends and family to buy them.
And they bought them.
They bought
Sold all 25.
Sold all 25 in the first maybe 3 months, and then bought 50.
So you
sold
doubled
down. Then 100, then 200. And then I actually went to a place called Alternative Apparel, which was an American company where I'd found these sweaters and hoodies that were like the nicest, slub, amazing quality things that I wanted to buy. And I got the invoice through, didn't realize there was like import duties and stuff at the time. So I overspent by like double the cost of the product at the time, trying to import them by sea to save money, but then getting hit with taxes and duties when they got to England, that after the time I'd screen printed them and rebagged them, I was losing money on the sales, but the quality of the product was so good. And I was so proud of it at the time. And I remember Mac Miller was in the UK and he had a show in Manchester, and I just messaged him on DM and I was like, dude, can I bring you some Represent? He was like, yeah, pull up to the bus.
Yeah.
Got on the bus and he put this stuff on and he was like, dude, how have you got the quality so good? And I was like,
It's come from your lands.
yeah, it's come from America and I'm losing every penny on it. But he wore it on like his Instagram and his Twitter and like put it as his profile picture, and that got the word out there because it just had Represent across the front.
Do you know, arguably speaking though, even though you say you lost money on it, right? The fact that you had this quality and the brand was out there, especially on Mac Miller as well, for him to wear it on his Instagram DP and spread it everywhere. He clearly loves it, right?
Right.
So even though it might have been a loss, do you think that that's what really helped the brand, like
100%.
call it like a hit, but it
Right.
returned big?
Yeah, and it's not always about profit. Like we do so many products now that are completely unprofitable and have no reason to be in the line, but we still do them because we believe in them and because it makes the brand and because we love it.
So when would you say is like the last time you done a non-profit item?
Caught me off guard here.
Okay. No.
Let me have a think. The last time we'd done something that's completely unprofitable, I mean, we do a lot of like sample sales and stuff like that where we're actually not making profit on garments. And then we do giveaways, we do freebies, we do a lot of things where it costs us a lot to do, but it's not the value exchange of money that we want from it. It's about bringing the community together. Like I have a VIP system on the site where there's hundreds of members, and we'll print out a special graphic that we've never done before on our best quality t-shirt and just send them all to them for Christmas or for their birthdays. So
just a token of appreciation.
Yeah, man. Like
that's what people love.
Yeah, and I feel like the more you give, the more you're going to get back in return, whether it's in value exchange of money or whether it's just people appreciating your brand and telling the next person about it. Like if this customer gets a free t-shirt for Christmas, he's going to tell his friends like, dude, I got this off Represent. They might buy the brand, or they might tell someone who buys the brand. So
everyone loves a freebie at the end of the day, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I always think of it like it's people over profit, right? So if you can make the people happy, that's the way to follow.
The profit will follow.
Yeah.
Where does the name Represent come from?
It was actually a list that I wrote down in college, just on a notebook.
Oh, like different names?
Yeah, some of them were terrible.
What else was on there? I want to know.
I don't even want to say. I think one was like sink or swim.
Sink or swim?
But it was representing, and then we scribbled the ing off, and it became...
Okay, so it was representing, then scribble. Okay.
Yeah. And then, the word about the brand started getting around my college and friends of friends. And then I wanted to make more than just t-shirts. There was so many people at the time just building these brands that were just small t-shirt brands. We had competition left, right and center. So for me, then it was like, how do I get a step above that competition? I was already thinking like other ways to just completely destroy them brands. So for me, that was like other fits, other garments that they weren't able to do. And my grandma was a tailor, and she used to fit all my clothes to me because I had this obsession with how I wanted things to fit and how they look. When I stepped out, I wanted to feel good in the clothes, and I couldn't find the right fit of denim. So I'd take this pair of, I think it was monkey jeans at the time, took them to my grandma, and I was like, right, I need a bit of length off here. I need these to taper into my ankle. I want it to stack here. And she did that for me, and I sent that to China on a whim, just thinking, right, here's a supplier on Alibaba. Let's just give it a go. Send this pair off. And I remember emailing him, and I said like, all right, the minimums were like 1,000 pairs, and I didn't have the money to buy 1,000 pairs. So I went in with the email that I want 100 pairs because I need to send one to each of my stores. Even though that was like pushing it anyway to sell online. And they made them for me, and I sold them. And
so they agreed on it then?
They agreed, yeah. I had to do that a lot of times at the start. That was my way into suppliers.
Yeah.
Kind of like white lies, but
it worked.
Yeah, it worked out eventually. And I sold them jeans, and everyone loved the fit, and that fit became a thing. It was very trending at the time, and we took that fit through. We still sell the same fit now, like it's our essential denim.
Did they come exactly how your grandma tailored them? Like when you sent them to China, when China sent them back, were they exactly the same?
Yeah, they were pretty bang on. I didn't have many issues with the first time. A few times down the line, I had some really bad issues, but that there as like a sample order, it was great. Yeah. Even they came in like crisp packets though.
We'll get into that later on about the whole like, what happened and all that sort of stuff. But it's good because at this time where you don't have denim jeans, the other brands, the competitors, if you will, they're still having t-shirts.
Yeah. So I just wanted to...
Just blew them out of the park.
Yeah, I wanted to expand the range. I wanted to... Basically, the mission has always been to create full outfits for every occasion in Represent. I want to be able to walk into my wardrobe, everything be Represent, and me be able to mix and match things from different seasons, different collections. And that's still the mission today.
I think that's what you do really, really well.
Yeah.
You know, I know loads of people who have wardrobes, kitted out, represent everything. I know one guy... In fact, he does like influencer campaigns with you here and there. His name's Ish, but he's just literally everything in his whole wardrobe. I've seen it represents everything, which is pretty sick.
That's what I love.
Yeah.
I feel like when people buy into the brand and they just come in with like a t-shirt, and then they're like, oh, the fit, the fabric, everything's amazing.
Yeah, literally.
I'll buy a hoodie, and then they buy a hoodie, and then within 3 months they'll send me a picture of the wardrobe and be like,
kitted out. Yeah, that's gonna be like me for today. Always.
Yeah.
Do you know, for me, I'm not so much of a like. I've never actually gone out of my way to buy clothes. It's always been my sister who buys me stuff.
Yeah.
But then sometimes if I like whatever she's bought me, let's just say she buys me, I'm gonna say CEOCAST because that way I'm not referring to any other brand. If she buys me a CEOCAST and I like the fit and the feel, I'm like, all right, cool. Then I'll go on the website. Let me order this. This is what it's like and all that sort of stuff. In fact, one thing I did like was like, for example, I done a podcast with Tommy Mallet. You familiar?
Yeah, of course.
His clothes are pretty nice as well, to be fair. And I was like, you know what, I can wear a few of his things. But anyway, enough of me rambling. back to your story. So at this point, then you had ordered jeans, sold them out as well.
Yeah. So at this time, it was like 2013. I guess I was like a year and a half into the brand, and Mike had just finished university. So he thought, right, I'll jump on board because look, we're selling a few things now. We're selling maybe 100 products a week. And then it was 200 products a week. And then it was like, okay, shit, we need to actually start this as a business, incorporate a limited company and take it from there. And that was it. Like, me and Mike were the first guys of it. I employed Steph, who's still here now. He was my first employee. We ran it whilst I was at university, and then it became a brand in 2014.
This episode is sponsored by Fireaway Pizza, the fastest growing pizza company in the UK. With over 100 locations, you definitely have a store near you. The founder of Fireaway was on the show not too long ago, and you can get a slice of the action by using the discount code CEOCAST at fireaway.co.uk. Once again, use the discount code CEOCAST at fireaway.co.uk.
So now we understand like how you started the brand. I just want to touch going back a little bit more. Your upbringing, like your early life, aside from business and your creative passion, what was it like for you growing up?
Well, look, my dad was a businessman, but in a very different way. Very small business. He was buying minibuses, doing them up, selling minibuses. So he was in vehicle sales.
So it's definitely not fashion.
Definitely not fashion, far from it. And he'd take me there every Wednesday, every Saturday. Like, I'd be in the grit, like cleaning minibuses, and I hated it. But he taught me like lessons of how to run a business through that. And he also taught me of what I didn't like. So I knew that like, if I didn't succeed with Represent, that's what I was going into. And that wasn't something that I wanted to do. So I had to make this thing work.
Sometimes you need that fear factor to make you push thrive in something else.
Yeah, I had one other option and that was it. And I really didn't want to do that.
Do you think having like your dad around, having his own business as you were growing up, do you feel like that taught you that this is the way forward, as in having your own business?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you don't get taught business properly in school, and you don't get told.
Definitely not.
No, like you are kind of bred to go and do the 9 to 5, and this is going to be your salary, and this is what you're going to do for the next 20 years. But I remember actually going into a class when one of the teachers said like, here's the average salary of a graphic designer. And I looked at it and I was like, holy shit. Like, I wouldn't even buy half of my dad's car.
Yeah.
And that car was cool and I wanted that car.
What car?
I remember he had a Range Rover at the time. And I remember walking out of that class and thinking, dude, I'm not going to be a graphic designer. I've got to do something myself. And look, my dad would take me to school every day, and like, it was cool because I'd jump out of this Range Rover and everyone would be like, whoa, how have your dad got that? So it kind of brought this innate desire in me to have things that were above average, I guess.
You know what? I remember studying business in school as well, yeah, and this is why I don't really like the schooling system, because from when I studied it and from what I remember, and to be fair, even like my nephews and nieces and younger cousins who study business now, it's completely outdated and completely like, even though they're teaching you business, it's still teaching you to work for someone else.
Yeah. But isn't that man teaching you business a businessman?
Exactly that.
So what does he know?
Doesn't make no sense.
Yeah.
I remember the teacher who taught me business, she was so lost in the head. I don't know if I should say that or not, but she was so lost that she couldn't teach anything, let alone business. So I think completely put me off of it.
Yeah, back then it was a shame, but now like, you have all this resource, you have YouTube, you have Instagram, you have even TikTok to learn business. Like, there is a million resources out there, so you don't need to rely on this school education system.
Yeah, that's how kids of today are lucky, to be fair.
Yeah, definitely.
When you were growing the brand, so must have been like 2011, 2012 times, right? Social media was just about around, and I think Facebook is around.
Instagram, Facebook was around.
Instagram just coming about.
2013, I think, Instagram.
I think it was, yeah. So how was you actually growing the brand? Because obviously the only social media source you have back then, probably Facebook.
Yeah.
So I can imagine most of it is that, and a lot of it word of mouth as well.
Yeah, everyone was on Facebook, so you could post things and tell your friends to post them. Text every single one of your friends and say, mate, will you repost this? So it was that. It was so word of mouth, basically, through Facebook. And like, it was a new thing on the block. Like, everyone in college was like, what is this Represent? Why are like people wearing it? And the more people that wear it, the bigger it gets. If you've got a big logo on your t-shirt that no one recognizes, they start looking into it. And then Instagram came about, and that was really the platform that did it for us.
Why is that? What was different about Instagram compared to before?
Just the fact that it was all image content, and we were really good at, like, as a creative, we were good at photography. Mike was great at photography, so we could create all our content ourselves. Everything was free. Posting was free. Algorithms were great back then. And yeah, we were just posting t-shirts and sweaters and hoodies, and that's how it took off.
The whole lot, pretty
Yeah.
much. So how did you grow from that point onwards? Just kept doing that?
Kept doing that for a while. Built up a good bank account, solid bank account, where we could like actually go and do things that weren't just t-shirts. So it was like we went into denim, and then we went into footwear, and then we went into leather jackets, went into outerwear, wanted to make everything in Britain. So we were like testing all these different factories around the country and just growing the brand organically that way.
What? We got to a point where, because from my understanding, from my knowledge, having factories in Britain, they charge a lot for manufacturing, right? Or
It's what, sorry, charging a lot?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very expensive and it's very backwards in terms of how they manufacture.
When you say backwards, what do you mean?
There is a lot more countries here now that have just way better skills, a lot better ethically and easier to deal with. A lot of like A to Z companies that will do the full thing for you. And different countries specialize in different products. So like Portugal is absolutely amazing with jersey, but China is absolutely fantastic with technicals. So yeah, you can pick and choose way better places in the UK to manufacture. And I'm not going to say the UK is terrible. I'm just going to say it's far behind. There's not a lot of money running through it, so it can't expand at the rate that it needs to actually be a great manufacturer for fashion.
So I'm assuming at some point in the business, you had to then move your manufacturing from Britain to anywhere else in the world.
Yeah, which was a hard thing for us because at the time we were really British made. Like everything was very British made. We were Union Jacks, and
Was that something like you were proud of?
yeah, definitely, man.
Yeah.
Like I felt like that was our USP at the time. Like everything was handmade here. We could drive to the factory, watch the production, bring it back, sell it.
Okay, so this is interesting, right? Obviously, I'm going to talk about the whole factory process in a second, but the fact that eventually you then had to move away from Britain, did it ever have a knock-on effect on you to think, oh, do you know what, we're losing our whole USP here? Like, we can move and it will be beneficial, but then we're losing our whole factor of British handmade.
Yeah, look, we dissected the question and passed it around to ourselves so many times and so many different things, but at the end of the day, it was way better for the business to be able to get a better quality product at a better price point, and the process of it being so much easier than what it was, so it was the right option to do.
So what year did you actually go around and try and find a different factory?
2018 was that time.
Oh, so up until that whole point, you're still...
Yeah, we were doing a lot in the UK, like 60-70% of our products was British.
Damn. Oh, yeah. So where's your factory now?
Most is in Portugal, so around Porto, there's a lot of different areas that specialize in different stuff. So like there's a footwear area, there's a jersey area, there's outerwear. Most of it's around there. So it's like a 2.5 hour flight from Manchester straight in, see all the factories, make sure all the products coming off the line well. And we've got such good relationships with partners over there that it's like, it's just world class. The place is amazing for it.
Yeah, this is the reason why I want to do this podcast, right? Because as I mentioned to you off camera earlier on, everyone always says to me, Raheem, drop some merch, drop some CEOCAST tops, whatever the case may be. Well, I've always wanted to do more than merch. I didn't want to be that cheesy merch. I would rather do a brand off the back of CEOCAST as opposed to releasing CEOCAST tops, because I feel like I could make something that represents CEOCAST, represents entrepreneurship or being on your own journey and hustling and doing something for yourself without having the CEOCAST name there. So, for example, I remember couple of years ago, I thought about 1% Club, something like that, right? And have like the 1% Club by CEOCAST. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Something like that. But I didn't even know where to start or anything like that. And to be fair, it's still an idea. I haven't even done anything about it. But point being to all of it.
I think you just need to figure it out what you want it to be.
Yeah, point being to all of it is, how did you actually find your factory? Going from Britain to now, okay, we've got to go out in the world and find somewhere where we can produce our clothes and the garments.
Yeah, I
What's
think
that process like?
Look, there's endless opportunity on Google, LinkedIn. Like you can figure out other people's factories by looking at where they're shipped from and finding out who in that city knows anyone. And there's agents, and there's also like I've got a guy in here called James who's my head of product who it was his decision to move all of our production to Portugal.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah, and at the time it was like we were going for a pretty rough stage in the brand, and if we wouldn't have done that, the brand might still not be here now. And it was obviously the right decision, but he had connections over there. We went over there for 18 months straight before we even got a product to get it right. And it was definitely the best thing that happened to the brand.
What was you going through in 2018?
We kind of like lost our foot in who we were as a brand, like what our DNA was. We were chasing fashion shows and seasonal approaches to things, and our price points weren't right. And the customer just kind of realized that we weren't going down the right path, where we knew what we had when we knew that we'd built such a good, strong, solid customer base that the product wasn't transpiring our DNA. So we had to flip that on its head. And that's kind of the time when Represent became popular.
So what was it you was kind of like chasing back then?
So like a fashion week will show in January and launch in August.
Mm-hmm.
So to make that product for January, you've got to be designing it 6 months in advance to that. So you've got a 12-month window from when your product is designed to when it actually comes out.
Okay, yeah.
And that wasn't right for us because we hadn't already established all our blocks and designs and who we were as a brand at that time. So we were just stabbing in the dark, designing whatever we thought was going to be cool. And then 12 months down the line, when it launches, it didn't look like we wanted it to look. So it didn't really work for the brand.
I suppose in my head, it's like going down the route of, as you said, trying to be something you're not, but also trying to compete with the top tier brands. But it's
Right.
not in the DNA as of yet. Am I right in saying that? Or
Mate, 100%. Like we were looking to the wrong places to be inspired by and to try and sit amongst in the stores, and it wasn't right for us.
So how did you actually kind of like re-jog yourself, get yourself on the right path to be on the right DNA way?
Yeah, we just stripped it back. Like we spent, like I said, it took us 18 months to move our production properly, but we spent quite a few months just getting our heads together and realizing, right, what are the key elements to Represent? What makes it successful? What are people actually coming here to buy? What are the products that we want to be wearing? How can we create them products in a way that's better than everyone else at the right price point? Strip back the fundamentals, decide who we were and go out with that. And that's when the brand had its second mountain, I guess.
So with that being said, can you answer everything you just said? I mean, you asked the question, so who is Represent for?
Represent it's actually, the customer base now is a lot wider than what it was then in 2018, 2019. Like it was one type of guy back then. Now it's a wide variety of guys. We touch on quite a few different markets.
You've obtained huge amount of exponential success, right? I mean, right now, as it stands, what is the brand valued at?
The one thing that your business needs to level up is top tier marketing. New Marketing are a creative marketing agency based in London, servicing all types of brands across the UK, including my own. Not only do they market this podcast for me, but they also help me market my personal businesses as well. They understand exactly how social media marketing works and how brands like you and I can use it to gain more traction. So they offer services such as social media management, content creation, influencer marketing, and also help you with your social media strategy. They cater to businesses and brands in all different sectors, whether it may be hospitality, automotive, podcasts, dental industry, and many, many other industries. So chances are they're definitely able to help you with your marketing needs. There's a reason why I use New Marketing myself. It's because their proven results are highly, highly successful. Their work reflects a long list of qualities that other agencies fail to provide. So make sure you go to newmarketing.com. The link is on the screen right now, also in the description. Tell them you want the exact same deal that Raheem's got, because they've grown my businesses more than I could ever imagine.
The value of the brand, I would not like to say, because I don't believe that someone pulling a figure out of the sky based on the percentage of turnover or EBIT makes sense to me. The turnover is this year, it'll be over 80 million. But valuation wise, yeah, I don't care. I don't like to say it.
Okay, and if we had to,
it doesn't matter to me, I guess.
right now that like as you said, the brand took off in like 2019-ish, yeah. Other than changing manufacturers and figuring out the whole DNA, what do you think was the key thing that actually made it take off? Was it dependent on marketing structure or just getting different things in place to?
I think there's so many elements, and we can put our fingers on the main three, I guess, which was structure of the brand, the product we were selling, and then the marketing. The marketing being social media, being our personal profiles.
So what was the value of like the brand back then?
At that time, revenue was like 6 or 7 million.
And this is only in 2018, 2019.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that jump there is crazy. How do you feel about that jump? Are you like amazed and proud about that jump, or was it like when you were going through this transition, it's what you expected, so you're just mute to it?
It's way more than what we originally planned out over those next few years, and it's growing exponentially. Like, it's fucking fantastic. I can't lie about that. But we know there's so much more room for growth, and there's so many different areas we can attack. And like, we're just a menswear brand at the moment. Like, we've not even touched on women's wear yet. We did a little kids launch as a kind of like experiment, and it sold out within 10 minutes. So like, yeah, the room for growth is huge within the brand. So I don't know where it can be. So I'd like to stay pretty humble about where it's at now.
No, you're a very, very humble entrepreneur. That's what I've noticed from talking to you and seeing other podcasts of you. So hearing your story is actually quite sick, to be fair. I want to talk about that kids launch. What made you want to go for that?
My sister had a little baby a couple of years ago.
So you thought, I'm going to go the baby out of Represent.
Yeah, and we made some samples for her because my sister always wears it. So it's like, if we can get a match in it, it'll look really cool.
Yeah.
And I posted it on my Instagram and it just blew up. Like, I think it was the most liked, commented photo that I'd ever posted.
Is it?
Everyone was just going mad, like, they need this stuff. Like, everyone needs it for their kids. So I was like, okay, let's just try it. Let's make a fun campaign of it. And like, our YouTube intro is like me talking about the brand, and someone asks what it's like, and like, why did it blow up? And I say, because it's sick. So we like did that whole intro with a little kid, so it looked like a mini version of me, and it did really well. Like, it was just a fun way of experimenting with something. And like, obviously we're growing up, our customers are growing up, like the people around us are having children, so why not cater to them children as well?
So is that something you're going to do more of in the future?
I think so, yeah, but I think we'll stick to babies. I don't think we'll go older than like 6, 7.
It's pretty cute, to be fair.
Yeah.
Because then you could have, if you have the menswear and then have the, the babies, you literally have father and son, whatever.
I think it's a cool thing, like when you've got a newborn or the 1, 2, 3 years old, whatever. But I think after that, like when they start getting into 9, 10 and teenagers, you don't really want to be matching your kid, right?
Yeah, no. then it's a bit different. Yeah. Then it's like, you got to find your own.
Right.
You got to find your own path.
Yeah.
So we kind of understand where the brands are in terms of turnover and stuff.
Yeah.
And also, right now, we're in a big premises. So I want to congratulate firstly on the success of this whole place. Office looks sick. I like the gym down there as well. Might have to have a gym workout there after.
Yes.
But also the fact that you got around, say you said about 70 employees here.
Yeah.
Compared to before, 2018, 2019, how many was then?
Oh, it came down to about, I think there was about 9 of us.
Yeah. So literally that whole time you've grown rapidly.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah, pretty much everything's 10x'd in the past 3-4 years.
Did you have any struggles growing the brand in the beginning?
Yeah, definitely. Like, thousands of struggles. Every day was a struggle. I think when your back is against the wall and you don't have other options, like, everything is a struggle. Like, every decision you've got to make is a risk. So I'm going to say we failed 1 million times to get to where we are.
But you have to, though. You have to go through that trial and tribulation.
Mate, I'm so happy that we went through that. And as a team and as a group of young guys, we have done everything. We've touched every part of the business. So we understand when something isn't functioning right, we can jump in and just try and sort it out because we've been there, we've done that.
But that's the thing, that you got to take everything as a lesson.
Right.
Nothing can ever be deemed as a mistake or error or anything like that. Everything is literally going to be a lesson for you, right? Yeah,
definitely. And I feel like as a brand that would go out to market and get an investment and boost themselves up so they can hire all these different people at the start and not look back into their brand and know that they've come along the whole way and they know all the processes of the brand. I feel like I would have rather have gone through the 10 years it took me to become slightly successful as a brand rather than just boosting it up straight away and then figuring out along the way and losing it.
Have you ever had times like that where sometimes you don't, as much as it is a pain to be in, sometimes you might have a direction that the brand's going in and you might not like it at all, and it really, really takes a toll on your mental health?
Yeah. No, not yet, because like I'm the creative director, so I can direct the ship of where I want it to go, especially design wise. Now, I've recently hired a CEO that will direct the brand in different ways to me because he has experience in other markets, other territories, other categories. But in terms of design direction, I pretty much head all of that up with with my, like the close team, with John, with James, with Mike, with Steph, like the guys that have been here since day one, like we'll always, and I'm not going to say everyone just is a yes man, but we'll always figure out what's best for the brand that way.
Yeah. So you had a CEO. How was that for you? You and Mike had been running this brand now, and you hired him when?
June 2022 he started.
Okay, so pretty much a year now.
Yeah, just over a year.
So for that whole time, it's just been you and Mike at the top.
Yeah.
Pretty much. So even though you're still at the top now, how's it been in terms of letting someone else have a lot of influence in terms of where this brand should go, how we should run it, where should we take things?
I think like things always come into your head, right? But at the start, it was scary. It was definitely a scary task, but the brand was outgrowing my ability to focus on finance, focus on geography, focus on categories, focus on where we're going to go next, what we're going to do next, and still be able to design collections, create the content, do the pop-ups, do all the special collaborations. Like, it was way too much for me to handle. And if I would have stayed as CEO, the brand wouldn't have grown to where it can grow to now, and everyone in the business wouldn't have gained such knowledge and skills, and we wouldn't have grown like we are doing. So like, it's been absolutely amazing for the past like 18 months, however long it's been. And look, the brand's growing. It's in a great place. It's fantastic. So I have no doubts about it right now.
Do you know what it is? There's so many things that go into a brand that people don't see on Instagram. They don't see anything else. They just see a collection. They just see a drop. They see George promoting it as you should, but they don't see everything that you just named there, for example.
Yeah.
And sometimes when you start up in a business, you just kind of take it as it comes, especially if it's your first business.
Yeah.
And it's gone really well. But then it gets to a point where you need someone who's experienced in everything you're doing.
Right.
If you really want to take it to that 100 million turnover, 200 million turnover.
Yeah.
And that's...
And like, I had my finger in every single one of the pies, and it wasn't the right thing to do.
Yeah.
And for me, it meant I had less time being able to do what I was actually good at. Whereas now I have 100% of my time on what I'm good at and what I know works for the brand. Whereas the CEO has 100% of his time on what he knows he's good at. And he's hired so many different groups of people that I didn't even understand these job roles existed, where people can come in and take parts of the business and really drive it forward.
Did you ever question him over like what he's doing? For example, bringing on teams. You know, as you're saying, these teams, you don't know what they're doing or anything like that. Did you ever question him, like, why are you doing that? Why are you doing this? Like,
no, I like to learn from it. I'll find it fascinating, and sometimes I'll go and sit in meetings with different teams that I don't know is exactly what is going on, just to understand my business more.
what is going on?
Yeah, but no, like, I've given a lot of control away, and it's for the best, definitely.
Yeah. So what's your actual role now? What do you do in a daily?
Creative director, so I'll design collections, I'll be with the product team on that kind of stuff, and then content creation as well. Everything on social media that you see go up on the Rep account is me and my content team. Then my own social media, and then collaborations, special projects, everything like that.
I'm going to speak about this later on as well, but is this one of the reasons why you moved into America, content creation?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll come back to that one shortly. So going back to growing the brand in the early days, you said there was ups and downs as well. So what are some of the downs? Everything's a smooth roller coaster.
No, of course, being naive, being a kid, like, I didn't learn anything for a long time in the brand. I was just going with the wind, trying things out, like learn, fail, get up, fail again, get up, fail again. Like, there's so many times where I could look back now and say, I wish I'd done it different. But if I hadn't had taken it all the way on my own, I wouldn't know like the wins and losses that we took back then. And because I was young, I didn't have any anything to fall back on, and I didn't really have anything to lose. I could go on and make mistakes and just do whatever I wanted to do. Whereas now it's like, this is a fully functional business with a lot of people involved in it. We need to make the right decisions. So how do we come to them terms?
You're moving to America, which we'll touch on shortly. But also, the one thing I want to touch on about is expanding globally. You know, you've taken the brand so far, so I want to know how that's all been with you.
So at the moment, our sales is around 50% UK, 20% US, 20% Europe, and the rest of the 10% is all over the world. So we're quite a global brand anyway. We have a lot of retail partners in other countries, other cities that can really show us a light case for what Represent is, and see people who are new to the brand come into it, look at it through a store, and then come onto our online site and get that product the next day. So our strategy at the moment is to really grow that US side.
George, what gets you up every day? What motivates you?
Do you know what it is actually? It's when I check my DMs and I see the feedback from customers and I get ecstatic. Customers of ours that have either bought some product and absolutely love it and can't get over it, or they've been inspired by the way we train and they've used our app and they've done their first 5K run, or they've done a 10K, or they've been to the gym for the first time, or they're trying CrossFit. That kind of stuff like really motivates me to push this inspiring kind of portrayal that we do.
What's it actually like working with your brother?
Tough one. Everyone thinks it'd be difficult.
You still live with him?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, we live together. It's really good, man. The dynamic's great because Mike is a different person to me. If we had the same energy and the same drive, I guess it'd be hard because we'd bounce off each other
Too much.
way too much, yeah. Whereas he kind of lets me go ahead and make decisions and do everything that I want to do. And he can sit back and really concentrate on the little things that he's good at. He's technically he's like the graphic design lead in the company.
Yeah, he goes on to what I'm gonna say this later on as well about that work-life balance.
Yeah.
You're both in the office every day, all day.
Yeah.
And then you're going home and you're sharing the same home, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes, not that you get into any altercations or anything at work, but sometimes being able to break off that point between work and just family life
Of course.
could be very hard. It's like, for example, I know a lot of people who maybe are in a married couple, right? And they've started businesses together, and sometimes that could, literally can break them up because at the end of the day, they might have some problems with work.
Yeah, I think the dynamic between us is great. Like, and it's not we're at home together every day. Like, I'm here training at a different time to Mike. I'm eating dinner at a different time to Mike. Like, we're doing different things on the weekend that don't involve each other. So really, and as well, now he has his own studio in the office. Like, we're not face to face with each other all day, every day.
Not down each other's necks all the time.
No, definitely not. And even still, I love Mike like that. Like, I can be with him all day, every day. Like, we can spend 24 hours together and not say a word together and still know what we're doing. But he has such an amazing skill set in what he does with his graphics and how he's able to like create footwear and stuff that I've never seen anyone ever be able to do. So he drives such a large portion of the business through that, just through sitting and like designing for hours on end, which I can't do anymore.
You can't, no?
No, so I really appreciate like what he does with that.
I suppose it's like having two complete different skill sets almost.
Right.
You know, you being the marketer and with a personal brand, and then
we just found our paths and like weaved our own footpaths into different areas of the business that we found successful for ourselves.
So is he going to move to America with you as well?
For this first part now, I'm going out there with John and we're opening a store. We're doing a lot of PR out there. We're really trying to grow Represent out there as it's done in the UK. So at the moment, no.
So would this be the first time in how many years has it been? 12 years, right?
12 years, yeah.
12 years. Would this be the first time in 12 years where you and Mike aren't together in terms of physically on the business?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
How's that playing out in your head?
Man, the most like worrying part for me, what I'm most nervous about is like I am in here 13, 14 hours a day, every day of my life.
Mm-hmm. Even Sundays?
Less on Sundays.
Okay.
But like I'm in here. Like I am in these four walls most of my life. So what scares me is like just not being here and not like cultivating the energy and being in the gym classes that we put on and just doing everything with the design team. But look, it's a flight away. I can come back every 2 weeks, every 4 weeks, however long it needs to be. Like we'll just see how it goes. I've always wanted to do this, so now is the right time to do it.
What was your actual plan there? Aside from Represent, why America? Why not any other country?
I've been all over the world, but I have like I feel like Los Angeles is my second home, and we've been there so much that it kind of is, and we have a lot of friends there. We do a lot of business there, and just know the area so well. Love the weather, love the food. There's loads of things to offer there that I don't get here. That now I'm into like my 30s. I want to go and kind of live my life a bit more, I guess.
And the question relating to the business as well is Represent ready to take that step to have a presence there in the States as well?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
At the moment, it's 20% of our business. We're looking to grow it to 50% in the next 48 months.
When did you start going to like 20%? When did you start like really seeing growth over in the States?
Actually, the first 5-6 years or so, we did really well in the States.
Yeah.
Because we did a lot of pop-ups and we were over there on holiday, so we'd do a lot of just fun stuff over there and it'd grow the brand. But now we're really going to focus the business on it. Like I said, we're going to open up a store. We've got a showroom over there. We've got PR over there. We're opening up our office. We'll soon distribute from over there. So it's just a big case study that we're going to really put our foot on the gas for the next 2 years.
The US is such a big market as well. I feel like within all industries mainly, the US is so far ahead, at least 5 years above the UK.
Yeah, and look at the size of the country. Like, they have, I think it's 7 times the amount of people that we have in their country.
Yeah.
And they're all English speaking. So, like, for us to bring the brand anywhere outside of the UK, the US is always usually the first focus for a UK brand.
Yeah, I can imagine, because it's like the sky's the limit there.
Yeah.
The sky's literally the limit. You can tenfold your whole company by going to America with that one move.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Hopefully that's what happens.
Hopefully, man. Hopefully.
We will see.
So you're going to open a shop front, right?
Yeah.
Where's it going to be?
It's on Robertson and Melrose, so it's on a corner.
Is that already in build or?
Yeah, it's in process right now. It's like 2 up from Maxfield, John Elliott, all the great stores over there.
So when you launch in America, like obviously I know you've already launched, but in terms of physical shop front, I'm assuming you're going to have some sort of PR marketing role behind it to, bring people in.
Yeah, of course. We already have a PR team there that we've been working with over the past year. Yeah. We did a few collabs over there this April, which was like Coachella. We did a Motley Crue collection. Like, we see what happens when we're over there and we're doing stuff and we're creating content there and we're inviting people to our parties and doing different store events. So it's just more of that, more collaborations, and we see such good growth with 247 as a part of the brand. It has a different growth trajectory to the main line, especially in the US. So it's really exciting.
I want to speak about 247 as well. What is it exactly?
So it was built off a pant. We wanted to make a pant. It was start of lockdown. We were going on hikes. We were going for runs. We were going to the gym. We wanted to come into the office. We wanted a pant that could just cater for everything. And we decided to make this pant where it was like, for us, our first functional product, where usually we were just fashion. This time we wanted to bring our fashion, our aesthetic, our DNA into functionality. So we made this full-way stretch fabric, made it look like something that was in the main line, but something you could wear to the gym. And it just absolutely blew up for us. It was our best-selling product. We still sell hundreds of them every single week. We don't post about them or anything. It's just become like a perennial piece. So that was the birth of what 247 was. It was just named 247 pant. And I thought,
as in like 24/7, where anytime.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay.
That was the concept behind it. Yeah. That was the video that blew it up. So I just took that concept of like, okay, if we can make functional clothes that are in line with the Represent DNA, why don't we make it an arm of the business? So like, a Puma will have a lifestyle and they'll have a athletics section of the business. Like, we're a small brand, we're a luxury menswear brand. Why can't we also have a fitness line and it actually be aesthetically pleasing? It still be within the DNA of the brand, and it can transfer over for the kids that buy Represent, and it can be like a new way to gain customers through sports. So we did that, and first 6 months to a year, I'm not going to lie, it was hard. It was a struggle. We didn't get the product right. And then when we switched the direction to it looking like what we do anyway, it really took off, and now it's a big percent of the business. And
why was it hard in the beginning? Because it was just like completely different to what you already made.
Yeah, it was completely different to what we already made. And look, everything's hard at the start, isn't it? It was like making a new brand from scratch.
Yeah.
So we were just figuring out things and testing things and not ordering the right amount of things and using different factories, different suppliers, different technicalities that we're not used to. But we just seemed to hit the nail on the head properly after like a year or so. And it's a really good way for us to collaborate with like athletes or brands that are in that space that are doing like amazing stuff that I want to be a part of, that if I just did as a collab with Represent, it'd look strange, it wouldn't work. Yeah,
because then at least to have the athletic department sorted there as well.
Yeah.
But then the question I have for that is then why didn't you have it as a different brand?
Because Represent is, going back to me and Mike being our own influencers and stuff, it's our life. Like, why shouldn't it be under the umbrella of Represent? Like, what could Represent be eventually? I could have 5 different arms of the brand under this one umbrella of what Represent is. So I didn't want it to be under another brand. I didn't want to take the focus and energy away from what our focus and energy was always on.
Keep it all under one umbrella.
Yeah.
All in house. That's probably the better way to do it.
Yeah, exactly. Same teams, same disciplines, same thing. And like, it's birthed this massive gym that we've got in the office where
Yeah, it has a good reason to have it.
Now everyone's a part of 247. Everyone's lifting, everyone's running, everyone's feeling amazing. Like, that's what it's about, right?
How important is, like, just in general life, gym, how important is it for you to have gym and that functionality in your life?
Like, massively important. I feel like that, again, was another turning point in that 2019 era where I really started looking at challenging myself physically and mentally and going on these huge runs or doing like competitions where like I was putting myself into these places that I'd never been in before that were extremely difficult that I really didn't want to do. And just like really going at things and finding out where I'm good and where I'm bad and like learning from that. Same thing as business. So I feel like it, like, as they say, like
kind of teaches you about yourself.
Yeah, exactly. And when you do them hard things, man, it makes business seem so much easier. Like going on a run for 7 hours straight and not being able to stop makes a meeting that's going to be a hard talk.
Absolutely. Seems like light work.
Yeah, of course.
How many times, like, have you done any sort of mountain climbing, mountain hiking?
Yeah, we've done South Africa. I've done quite a lot over here in the lakes and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like traveling to Scotland and doing mountain hike. I've never done a hike before, but there's something about it that seems like,
yeah, man, just being out in nature, like, that's where you have your ideas. That's where like you can create collections in your mind there, or you can figure out what the next steps of your business are when you have so much clarity because you've not got your phone on you. You're not inside four walls. So you've got all the time in the world to think. That's another reason why I do it.
You know, earlier we spoke about work-life balance. For example, you and your brother, right? Have you got misses at all right now?
Nah.
Okay, so this is what I want to go on to, if we can we don't have to go too deep into it.
Yeah, sure.
When it comes to, partners, how can you're here, well, as you mentioned, 13 hours a day minimum, 7 days a week. So how can you, develop that side of life if you're constantly developing the business?
Yeah.
Is that something you struggled with, or?
It's not that it's not that I struggle with it. It's that like it's not at the top of my priority list, so I'm not going to focus on it, and I'm not going to lose time in the business. Or like I always say, I've got 3 pillars: business, family, fitness. All 3 of them are the highest priorities in my life. And my family doesn't mean I have a partner. And look, in the future, maybe I will. Maybe this LA move will make something happen where I've got more time to go and do stuff like that. But at the moment, it's like focus on the business is my number one. It's doing amazing. I'm building this huge community. I've got a lot of staff that rely on me. So I want to put my full focus into that at this very moment.
Have you hired any family members? Obviously, with the success of the brand.
No, but I hired all my best friends when I started. Yeah.
Like, you don't know, innit?
First 5 employees are all just my best friends.
Are they here at all?
Steph is still here, which was my first employee, which is amazing. The first guy that I ended up speaking to in Los Angeles 10 years ago is actually our first US employee now.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, which is unbelievable. And
is that just by chance or?
No, not by chance. Like, we've always communicated. He's always helped us on PR stuff and like helped us grow a presence in the US. So, and it came to a point where he was leaving what he was doing recently and we're moving over to the US, and it's like, this works out great. Like, there's a good position for him here. So I like to work with my friends. Like, it's not going to be fun if you're not in a room with all your friends, right?
Yeah. I was just going to ask that. And I suppose you kind of answered the question there as well, yeah? When you came to starting the business and hiring your friends, why was it that you hired your friends? Just so that you could bring them all that in and have a jolly environment, or?
Not really a jolly environment. Just like back then, we didn't understand anything. We were just picking stuff out the air. It was, let's all do customer support. Let's all pack orders. Let's all decide on this design.
Do everything together.
Just do everything together. And that's how it was. And obviously that only works until you're a certain size. And then unfortunately, people have wasted a lot of time, or you've wasted your time, and you've got to split up, I guess.
Actually make good business decisions from that point on.
Yeah. But then obviously some guys really grow into positions and like become like amazing leaders in them positions. Like Steph, who was my first employee, like he's such a big figurehead for the business and drives like 30% of the people in the business. So it can obviously work out.
Where do you see the brand going from here in the future?
Honestly, I don't like to look too far in advance. I know people love doing 3-5 year plans, but really, like, for me personally, it's about getting Represent in the US over the next 24 months, full focus on that, and just grow at the same KGAR that we've been growing at for the past few years. If we can maintain that, it's absolutely amazing.
Why do you not like planning so far ahead?
I don't like to. Things can change. A lot of things can change, and like, how am I supposed to plan for something that I'm going to launch in 18 months and not know whether that could actually just take over the business or it could just be a little thing that we carry on doing? So, like, we're a menswear brand. 70% of the market is women's. We've not even touched women's yet. What if next year we decide, right, here's our women's wear team, let's attack the market with Owners Club, with Mainline, with 247. That could become 50% of the business in 2 years. And if the men's in 2 years is doing 200 million, then that can be doing 200 million. I don't know where the brand's going to go.
I was having this conversation with Lewis literally when we were speaking about this on the podcast. You know, he was in Gymshark for a while, and now he's doing Able, right? Mm-hmm. And whereas it's like women's fitness wear almost, the market, as Lewis said, it's just the sky's the limit. Literally, you don't know where it's gonna go.
It seems like it's just infinite.
Yeah, women's buying power is completely different. So how come you haven't done it already? Because I feel like you will. It's only a moment of time.
Eventually. It's for me now. Like, over the past few years, I've realized it's about picking your right wars and not just trying to do everything at once. Like, I'm going to develop a women's wear collection and it's going to be the best. So it needs to have the best people involved with it. It needs a solid team. It needs a lot of energy put into it, and then it needs a lot of marketing behind it, because I don't want to go out there and half-ass it and launch 20 women's products and say, oh, look, we're here with women's wear. No, it's got to be like big. We've got to think big all the time now.
I know you said like you didn't really do influencer marketing, but do you feel like with women it will be different, because women love to see what other women wear, and they love to be like, oh, she's wearing it, I want to get it, sort of thing.
It's a completely different game,
because men don't like that. Like, men don't really see a guy think and think, you know, I'm gonna buy that same sort of thing.
Yeah, men. It's weird. Men are way more loyal to brands than women are.
Yeah,
women will test 30 different leggings, whereas men, they'll buy one pair of pants and go
stick with that forever,
buying 20 of them.
yeah.
So that's what's going to be different for us. But as well, influencer marketing will be huge for the women's when we do it.
Do you feel like, going what you just said there, do you feel like that's why you're so big now? Because once someone tries Represent, like myself, for example, if I try Represent and I know the quality of it and I know the brand, once I'm happy with what I've got, I don't need to go anywhere else. I've got that there.
Yeah, I think customer retention for us is such a huge part of the brand. And it's just because we put so much effort into like delivering way more than what the value of the product is. Like, our hoodies are made in the same factory as Balenciaga, but you can get them for £160. You can get that ordered within 8 hours of ordering it, and it be the best product you've got in your wardrobe for a really good price point. You're coming back. Like, everyone seems to just want to come back. Like, dude, I wake up every morning, I read my DMs, and it's like people are ecstatic about receiving the product, and that's what drives me, really.
And how do you? Because so are they DMing you or do they DM the brand page?
Both, but mainly me, because they know it's a person. It's hard to get a personality across as a brand. So if there's a way into the brand for a person, which there is for me, and I'm open to it, and I love replying to people, like, that's like customer feedback. That's the best experience someone can get, right?
Yeah, because I was going to say, like, when people DM me about the podcast saying, you know, great podcast and all that sort of stuff, I feel like the best thing to do is to have that conversation with them and reply to them, because then that's when they feel like they're part of the community.
Yeah, of course.
And that's what you probably want in your customers and stuff as well.
100%. Like, that's like how to retain a customer is by keeping them there, right? Mm-hmm. So whether you're doing it intrinsically or you're doing it for a purpose, like, why not conversate with them? You're going to get the best feedback. You're going to know what you need to do next time. You're going to figure out what the right path is for your brand through your customers. So I spend a lot of my time looking through DMs, looking at comments, all that kind of stuff.
Have you ever had times where you, like, a customer hasn't been satisfied?
Yeah, every day. Yeah, man. Like, we supply thousands of orders every day, so there's always going to be some issues. No matter what level we get to, there always will be.
And then back to it as well, do then people then, not criticize it, but do they come to you directly?
Yeah.
and say,
I get a lot of smoke, yeah.
yeah, like you get the smoke basically, yeah.
Dude, I get a lot of smoke.
Because if you're going to be the personal brand, you know what I mean? Like, people are going to come for
But
it.
that's what comes with it. You got to accept that that's part of the journey. And like, if a customer's really dissatisfied about something that's happened, whether it's like the response they've had from a customer support team, or they've not had a response, or something's up with the product, they've been sent the wrong order, like they come to me and they'll give me smoke, yeah, but like it's my duty to serve them, right? So all I'll do is my very best to make sure we can get that thing sorted.
So, you know, in the beginning where you started your personal brand, yeah, and people may have been coming for smoke then, did you find it hard dealing with it? Or
Oh yeah, 100%. I still find it hard now. I'm not going to lie. It's still a hard thing, yeah. Still, it frustrates me that we're not 100% on everything, but we never will be. Like, you can't dictate every single thing, every single product that goes out of that warehouse.
I feel that's a good thing, because I feel like the day you think you are 100% on something is a day that there's no room for improvement.
That's
whereas,
downhill.
Yeah, that's when it's downhill, literally exactly that. And speaking of downhill, I saw on, I think it was either Lewis's or Mike's podcast, where you were saying, you know, you could be a much bigger brand. Have you taken investment from outside?
No, nothing. No.
And the reason why I said downhill is because you believe that it's something that could be detrimental to a business as well.
Yeah, I like a lot of stories, a lot of things I read about like valuations and investments are not usually the right path to go. And I understand that like if you need that money to grow the brand, if the brand's not profitable and you're needing to take on money, I get it. Like I understand that. Luckily, we've not been in that point yet, so I've not needed to do it. So I'm open to anything. Like if someone knocks at the door and wants to buy into the brand and they're valuing it at something that is unbelievable, of course, like I'm open to them conversations. I'm not going to put my back against the wall and say no to anything.
You never know what the future holds.
Exactly.
People are saying, yeah.
Yeah.
What's been like the biggest lessons you've learned in entrepreneurship?
Biggest lessons, definitely self-development. Like up until I was 24, 25, I did no self-development. I was in my emotions. I was like a young child until like I started to learn about like stoicism and humanity and how to like actually control your emotions and how to detach yourself from situations. And that really just helped me grow the business through a personal standpoint. I've been through points where like we're trying to just do everything possible. And like I just said about women's wear then, I want to do it right rather than just do it.
But you got to get the right team and everything like that.
Yeah.
You're like a very humble man, yeah? For meeting you today and other podcasts that I've seen of you, you're a very humble guy. And especially for the way the company is, as you said on Mike's podcast, you live way below your means. Yeah. And why do you think that is? As in like, you could easily, let me word this whole thing right. Someone goes through your Instagram, they're not going to see dripped out designer head to toe. They're not going to see any of the flamboyant stuff. They're not going to see any sort of that sort of stuff, right? And you can easily do that. So why not?
I don't need to. I feel like people know the brand, people know the size we're at, people understand the business. I can kind of, I don't have a desire to do that, like at all. And yeah, I live below my means because I know I've seen people come and go that have done that kind of stuff before, and I don't think it actually ever seems to like work out. So like staying below, man, just staying chilled. Like I don't need things that other people think they need. And I don't get to like certain places where we make a certain amount of money and I'll go and buy this or do that. Like I know what I like, I know what I need, I know what I want to do. And the business is so much bigger than me as a person that like everything we do now, it's for the business. Like I will spend all my money on building a HQ that makes this ecosystem for 100, 200, 300 people absolutely insane, and somewhere that they want to come and do, and somewhere they want to come and work, somewhere they want to come and train, somewhere they want to come and eat, and they can have all their friends in here. And like that to me is way bigger than buying a fucking mansion and whatever house and showing off watches and cars and whatever. I don't know.
The only issue I see with that is I feel like the rate that you're growing, you're going to outgrow this place. And
oh, I don't know, man. I mean, there's 70 of us in here now. We've built it to a company around 250.
250 people?
Yeah.
Yeah? Oh, is that this office? Okay, that's a lot then.
Yeah.
That's big.
There's a lot of room. Everything's very spread out in here.
Yeah, right. That's spread out. Yeah. This office is new, right?
Yeah. So originally we were in that first building over there in the corner.
Yeah.
And the dream was always to take over this whole block.
Whole thing. You just got one more unit left, and then
Yeah, the guy hates us.
he's not budging.
He is not moving, man. Yeah, like if any of the guys are in the gym running around on the car park, he's fucking angry.
Do you know what I like about everything so far as well, and what more thing you've been doing recently is documenting the journey on YouTube as well.
Yeah.
So what's been the decision for that?
Do you know what? I wanted to do it so many years ago, and I just wasn't confident enough. Like, I didn't want to put myself out there, like, talking and, like, documenting what we're doing without just it being a picture. It's so easy to post a picture. Picture can mean anything. But, like, talking to the camera, doing this, what we're doing now, like, I was always really shy and didn't want to actually express myself or, like, talk about things. But, it, like I said just then, it's like, it's way bigger than me. So I need to stop thinking about myself. I need to think about all them kids that 18, 20 years old going, I want a brand. How do these guys do it? Well, check them out on YouTube and they can see everything. Like, that's what I did. The story I told you about Nicky Diamonds, I was watching that guy and he's inspired me to make this business now, which has so many people that are working for it and are inspired by it. Like, that's just off me watching a YouTube. So if I can do that now and get the kid who's 10 years behind me and he can be inspired by that and create his brand off that, then why not?
There's so many brands that are popping out nowadays now, especially street brands, you know, excluding yourself, but they're all trying to make it and they're all kind of like hustling and bustling over each other. I'm not even going to drop names because there's a new name every single day, right?
Okay.
So what would be your message to brands that want to go down this streetwear? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, man, I think it's just about finding your own voice, finding your own tone. Like, what is the DNA of your brand? And look, it's really hard to find that. Like, it took us so many years. I'm not going to sit here and say, we decided Represent's going to look like this 10 years ago and it's always looked like this. It's not. It's changed, it's developed, it's matured. It's just about finding your own voice, finding your own product, finding your own image and really going at that.
Do you know what? I'm going to say this outside perspective of someone who's not involved in the fashion industry at all, right? I feel like these brands, the new ones that are popping up, don't really do it because they want to sell something. They don't really do it because they're in the position you were in of like, you know, I like clothes, I like artsy, I want to represent some sort of image. I feel like they just see brands such as yourself, take inspiration from it and think, oh, hold on, there's some money to be made here.
Yeah.
I like, for example, Represent, I like Trapstar, I like, etc. Do you know what I mean? Let me have a go at it. There's money to be made in it. So that's what I kind of see nowadays on when I say new brands popping up all the time. I feel like a majority is because of that. Just following trend pretty much.
Yeah, definitely. And like, if you're not passionate about it and you're just doing it because someone else is doing it, it's not going to work out well, is it?
No, not at all.
But yeah, try not to focus on that kind of stuff.
Do you have any other passions? Like, do you do anything else other than Represent? Whether put your money elsewhere or...
No, I invest everything back into the brand and I always will do until I'm done with it. Apart from that, I just love doing hard things. Like, I love training hard. I love going on, like, doing marathons. I love like things that are very challenging that I didn't think was possible that I could do myself. That's what I love doing. I love creating content. I love creating clothes. Yeah, and I love building a team, man. I love coming in here and like seeing all these energized people that are just like working on something that's mine. Like, they're not working on something that's theirs. They're building this ship that I'm trying to sail. And it's like, that to me is like what I do it for.
I said I'm going to ask you this question. I thought I'd leave it to the last one, right? But I know we spoke about investment and stuff, but what if a brand or a business came along and say, you know what, we want to buy 100% of the brand? Could you see yourself, I know this is your business, this is your baby.
Yeah.
Could you see yourself letting go fully? No control or nothing like that? But
I think it's hard to say it unless that actually happens. But if it's like generational wealth that will set my family up for life and everyone in this business who works with me, who's close with me, like, it would be stupid for me to not do that. But at this moment, I love what I do and I wouldn't see anything else in my future.
I feel like I said, speaking to you, it's just like, you don't even, the figures or anything don't really matter to you. As long as people here are enjoying the workplace, the customers are loving the experience, and you're loving the journey along the way, I feel like that's what matters to you more than anything else, which I think that is probably the most credible trait that anyone could really have when it comes to business.
I guess it's that people over profit thing. Like, what is money when you're when you've got it all right, what is it?
Yeah. And I suppose throwing it back to the very first question I asked you, thinking about it now, I feel like that's the trait that you, Lewis and Reese all have in common, of everything, all of that over the money, over the financial gain.
Yeah.
And I think that's where it stands.
Yeah, definitely, man.
Any final notes from you, George?
Maybe just want to say thank you for having me on, and I hope that this inspires people to build their own brands, do things that they're passionate about.
Why don't you release some sort of thing where, I know you had a 10 years of dedication, right?
Yeah.
10 or a decade of dedication, that's the actual name. And in there you mentioned that there's like some things on how to start a brand. But being in the position you're in, how comes you don't release some sort of like step-by-step guide of how to actually start a brand for that person who was once in your position?
We talk about it a lot in here, and it will be something that I'd like to do in the future, but I just don't feel like I'm ready yet. I've still got a lot to learn. Like I said, the brand is doing really well, but it could be 10 times. When it's 10 times the size of what it is now, maybe then I'll release a book and say, this is how we've grown from 0 to 1 billion or whatever it is. I just don't think we're at the right point yet. And it's like, there's still so many things that we can work on within the brand before I start pouring out the knowledge of what we've done on the way.
I'd agree with you. Yeah, I agree with you. But do you know what I'm thinking as well? When it comes to like podcasts, and some people say, do you know, I'm not ready to do a podcast. It's the kind of same sort of answer that I'm hearing it. It's where it's like, you may say you're not ready, but on the outside, me looking in, it's like, you're such an inspiration. Do you know what I mean? For me to want to start, as I said, if I wanted to start a brand of CEOCAST, I want to learn how to do it step by step. I don't want to ask you.
Right.
But then you saying you're not ready, it's like, well, you're so far ahead of me that I still want to learn the steps after there. I get what you're saying 100%.
I guess maybe there could be like one that it's for the first 3 years, or it's for 0 to 10 mil or 0 to 50 mil or whatever. I haven't thought about it that way. You kind of like want to be at the top before you do something like that. Humbly, sorry. But yeah, maybe, I don't know. In the future, I'm up for it. Just not right now. Got a lot of work to do on the brand first.
Yes. People want to follow you on Instagram, socials, where can they do so?
It's at George Heaton on everything, and the brand is at Represent Clo on everything.
So yes, George, I want to appreciate you coming on once again.
Thank you, man.
And hopefully we can do a part 2 later on in the future when you get to your billion or whenever you're ready.
We drop that book.
Yeah, that's it. When you got the book.
We drop the blueprint.
We got the blueprint.
No, thank you for having me, man. Appreciate it.
Everyone, I'll catch you on the next episode of CEOCAST next Sunday. Peace.